You're listening to Tara Lynn's A Geek Saga podcast. This episode features audio from a discussion panel that was recorded at DragonCon 2019.
Guys, it is just about 10 o'clock, so we can go ahead and get started. Welcome to Loony Theories, Game of Thrones style. Okay, so if you have not done Loony Theories with us before, this is usually how it rolls. We will talk for a little bit about our crazy theories and things that we have thought about watching both the show and reading the books. And then after a while, we'll turn it over to the audience, and you guys can kind of pepper us with your thoughts and feelings, and we can tell you whether or not we think it's plausible or not. We will accept a lot of things, though. This is a late night panel. It does get a little risque, not too filthy, but we can tell those jokes we can't tell in front of the kids. But do try to remember, it's for everyone, not just for your own edification. So, okay, let my panelists introduce themselves.
Hello, I'm Brian Edelon. I wrote and directed Westeros, an American Musical, which thank you. It's a 2-hour Game of Thrones parody musical using the music of Hamilton. It's all on YouTube. You can look it up, Westeros, an American Musical. And do we give our Loony Theories now, or do we just all introduce?
Let's do introductions first.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm Tara. I'm a author, webcaster, podcaster, person who wears many hats, but the most important one when it comes to Game of Thrones stuff is that I created and organized Ice and Fire Con, which was the first ever Game of Thrones Song of Ice and Fire convention. In the States, specifically, in the States.
Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm on the podcast of Ice and Fire. We've been going for over 12 years. We are the longest running Ice and Fire podcast.
I'm Andrew Tedeschi, host of the Stats Check podcast. I also help run Ice and Firecom with Tara and Ashley, and this is my 8th DragonCon. Loving it, guys.
Hey, I'm Aziz Aldori. I'm host of the History of Westeros podcast, a professional show about the backstory about Game of Thrones and Song of Ice and Fire. And I think this is about my 20th or 21st DragonCon.
Yeah! Well, let's be very clear. We lost a panelist to Concrud, and Aziz has stepped in for us. He's really stepped up. So first
special
time,
thank you to Aziz.
Looney Theories panelist.
He's really shy, guys.
All right, well, so let's pick on the new guy and make him tell us his Loony Theory first.
Yes!
All right, Jen. Okay, it just so happens that I was talking to some friends about this one earlier today, before I knew I was going to be on this panel. So I think it's divine inspiration, and I think it's evidence that the theory is true. So there's two things that are important here. One is the island of Dragonstone, right? It's the place where, in Westeros history, where dragons have spent the most of their time. It also happens to be the place where there's the most dragon glass. Bear with me for a minute. When we get to the point that humanity is well armed with dragon glass against the northern menace, I don't know, it seemed like they did it really quickly. It seemed like a lot of that dragon glass was just readily available, as if some of it was just already lying there. So at the same time, we have the knowledge that dragons eat quite a lot, right? They're large creatures, they require a lot of animals. What's so funny? I don't get it. Okay, so, everything I've said is true, right? Dragons need to eat a lot, and the North got lots of dragon glass really quickly.
Keep going.
So, I'm saying, what if dragon poop is dragon glass?
With the temperature of their bodies, I feel like it would harden it. It's so hot. As soon as it came out into regular regular temperature air, it would immediately solidify it.
But it's also like a
Like
diamond.
lava, yes.
Like lava. And I'm sure you guys can identify with that,
Just on that alone, I'm saying hashtag plausible.
Hashtag plausible. Yeah.
I'm going to ahead and I'll add on to that. A lot of fantasy authors, for instance, the author of The Flight of Dragons, theorize that if you're going to give a scientific explanation for why dragons can breathe fire, it's because they consume rocks that grind together together in their bellies to create sparks. That would be dragon glass.
See, yeah.
Okay, but I'm just picturing like a bunch of like obsidian turd emojis right now.
Yeah.
Is that what we're having here?
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody make that. It needs to just be a little extra pointy and maybe with an angrier face than the normal poop emoji.
Maybe some
Little
dragon horns.
steam
And
coming off
black.
of it.
Yeah. Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
also there's just a general theme of digestion-related things in Song of Ice and Fire. I mean, the character who becomes king at the end, his name is Bran. I mean, that's some serious fiber for my theory.
You find them in caches. The thing is, that's just a Targaryen cleaning up after their pet.
Exactly.
That's right.
I mean, it's not true, so.
Hashtag plausible. That's our standard here, guys. The
Right.
standard is hashtag plausible.
your news.
We are not taking comments from the audience yet, sir.
And specifically
Hold
not from
yourself
him at
back,
all.
sir. All
right, Andrew, you're
Yes. Okay. So we all love the others, right? They're kind of weird. They're kind of up north. They got this ice magic. They kind of take babies. They kind of do bad things to people. They kind of kill people. They kind of make sort of weird patterns with them. They're really bad people. You know who else is bad? Bruce Bolton, the Boltons. They're kind of dicks. They kill people. They flay them. They treat women like playthings. There's a lot of blood involved. It's really a kink thing. So all I'm saying is we know that the 13th Commander banged Ice Corpse Queen. We know they banged him. It happened. He gave her a seat. Old man said it, and that means it's hashtag true. Everyone believes old man. And all I'm saying is that their kid could have been the Boltons, started the Bolton line. All I'm saying is the Boltons are the others. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
All right, panelists, what do you think about this one?
I need more evidence for this one. I'm at the 10% plausible level on this one. I think.
Look, I'm going to submit their pastiness as number one.
Yeah, I'm actually going to come in at 99% plausible on this one. I would point out that Theon, when he's just out of his mind and only seeing people by their sigils, and he sees an old man and he's like, "Oh, vulture." When he looks at Roose Bolton, all he sees is a pair of gray ice cubes as eyes, and that to me sounds like the eyes of an other.
I mean, they're very obviously just vampires.
100% plausible.
Yeah, same thing. It all involves blood sacrifice and stuff. It's fine. I'm still at 50%. The ice cubes thing, I'm a little better with, but also are we talking shovers or?
We're only talking the book.
Only the books.
Pink Cloak, as it's seen in most American musical.
Only the books. Also
Aren't
the
their
show.
eyes blue?
Okay, Ashley.
So, as we know, David and Dan got a rough outline, not a very clear outline, but just a rough outline. So when they bring in a Prince of Dorne at the end of the last season, we know George must have told them, there's a secret Prince of Dorne out there. So they just brought someone else in. They did not realize that the Prince of Dorne has already been introduced. P-O-D, Prince of Dorne, Pod. What happened was very obviously after Robert's Rebellion, people in Dorne, because they sided with the Targaryens, they had to send some hostages over there. So little baby Pod gets sent to the Lannisters as a hostage. Thing is, people in Westeros not so great at spelling. What does a P look like? Oh, a D. Or no, what does a D look like? Kind of like a P. So on the way there, Dane, a very popular house in Dorne, somehow becomes Pain. So and then of course the person taking care of them is like, oh no, we don't want. This is a great way for the child to restart their life. They'll go into a secret. They won't know that he's a hostage anymore. He can live a good life as a minor member of the House Dane. But the thing is, coming back to what's her name?
I am not helping.
A certain member of
Ashara, that Dane girl.
That's what. Yeah, that's what we've lost Chloe, and now we've lost Ashara as well. Gone forever.
Yeah. So the message never really made it back to her, and she just heard that her child was killed on the way to the Lannister. So she's devastated and just throws herself out the window, causing window pane.
I call this 100% plausible. Hashtag plausible. Simply for the fact that I want Podrick Dane to be the Prince of Dorne.
Does that mean that his sword is the sword of the morning, and that's why he gets his gold given back?
Yes.
Have
There's a
Audric Payne and Edric Dane ever been seen in the same room together?
No.
Payne, it rhymes with Dane.
That's right.
I'm going to come in with 0% plausible on this one. I don't buy it. I feel like the evidence is thrown together and circumstantial at best. And I think we met the new Prince of Dorne, and he had a wonderful name, and he was on that council of 17 people where Dorne got 1 representative, the North got 4, the Stormlands got 4, the Vale got 3, the Iron Islands got 1. That's how math works.
I mean, but they threw this Prince of Dorne in, and I heard that he didn't even know his name.
Yeah.
A character has no name.
Yeah.
Also, who was able to list all the Dornish houses when Tyrion asked?
Actually, no.
Yep.
Exactly. And also,
Look.
scratch that. Pod is now on the Kingsguard. He's a member of the Kingsguard, so he had to give up his family
Not like
anyway.
that matters. People
So
are-
this other random Prince of Dorne that came to this council doesn't matter anyway, because like he had to give up his whole name, his house, his everything. So just saying.
Oh my God, he's the proxy.
Exactly.
He's going to be Shadow Master. 20 years he's running the kingdom.
All right, actually, I've now flipped on this and I believe it. And I will go ahead and throw in there that as Podrick Dane, he's probably Azor Ahai. As we all know, Podrick, an esquire of Sir Lorimor, once stole a ham from Tywin Lannister's supplies wagon. And when Tywin learned of this, Tywin had the squire killed and spared Podrick, and basically gave Podrick a second chance at life. And ham, of course, is made of salt and smoke, and therefore Podrick Dane was reborn amid salt and smoke. He is Azor Ahai.
I mean, I think that's pretty plausible, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I've been full plausible because I just want Podrick to have all the good things in life.
Well, let's hear what you've got, Tara.
Yeah, it's time.
Yeah, it's time.
All right, so this year, for the first time ever, I decided to go with a showverse theory.
Burn the heretic!
I've taken over Chloe's position. D&D are now paying me the HBO show money. She's not here, so I'm taking over. So, at the end of Game of Thrones, we see Drogon pick up Daenerys's lifeless body and fly away with it, and nobody knows where he went. Of course, Bran says he's going to go find out. I'm sure he can, but we don't know. We don't hear that. However, I think the most #plausible theory is that Drogon is taking Daenerys' body back to Valyria so that he can resurrect her. And I think this is plausible because no, Drogon has never been to Valyria, but he has dragon sense. So like they just know. It's like in their blood. And also like that's his mom, man. Like he's taking her back and gonna resurrect her, and like we can just start the Game of Thrones all over again. That really shouldn't happen.
All right, panelists.
I mean, we've seen resurrection in fire before, so, you know, #plausible for sure, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's, instead of like a fire wife, she'd be like a, I don't know, fire lich queen, fire lich queen.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm going to come in at 50% plausible. There's a couple of issues here. I feel like if she was going to be resurrected, it would probably be by the first servant of the Red God, Kinvara, who went and appeared before Tyrion and Varys in Meereen. And I don't believe that and she didn't reappear on the show after that. And it's certainly not because she leaked things about her role and HBO blacklisted her. It's probably just because this resurrection thing's bogus. So, like I said, 10% plausible.
But I mean, then aren't you saying that Kinvara would be the one to resurrect her, so she would just go to where Drogon would just go to what, like Volantis?
Volantis, now 60% plausible, 60 to 75% plausible.
Wait, you guys forgot
Resurrection
about
of
the
Daenerys.
They have a
Except-
resurrection store there. didn't
Yeah,
they?
yeah. 2-for-1 special. Night King also being resurrected, so season 9 actually can, be entertaining. We do not want the final boss of this game to be pregnant alcoholic and swagger pirate. I'll go ahead with my theory. My theory, in the books, when Melisandre meets Ghost, they have an immediate connection, and to Jon's great astonishment, Ghost warms to Melisandre, licks her hand. They're best buds immediately. This is because Ghost and Melisandre are half siblings. Stay with me. Melisandre, as we all know, is the daughter of Bloodraven, the three-eyed crow. Bloodraven, the three-eyed crow.
You're going to have to unpack that a little.
Yeah, and Shira Seastar, who, as we know, were lovers. Bloodraven is one of 4 albinos in a Game of Thrones, followed by Melisandre, the Ghost of Highheart, and Ghost. Melisandre's birth name was Melanie, which is, of course, a combination of Bloodraven and Shira Seastar's mother's names, Melissa Blackwood and Sironi of Lys, Melanie. Shira Seastar disappeared from Westeros, moving east and becoming Quaithe, who is the guiding star for Daenerys, becomes an Ashai Shadowbinder, thus she's wearing a Shadowbinder's mask, which is where Melanie was sold at a slave auction before she became Melisandre. Now, Ghost, on the other hand, is of course also a son of Bloodraven, who warged into a direwolf, impregnated another direwolf, then warged into that direwolf to come south of the wall to be killed by a stag to deliver these direwolf cubs to the Starks, one of which was an albino because of Bloodraven. And for those, you think bullshit? When you see the folio edition of Game of Thrones released this year, on the cover is that wolf with the antlers in it dead and a crow, a raven, sitting on the corpse, looking at the author, making eye contact at the camera, saying, "Yeah, it was me, Bloodraven."
I was saying it's some wolf kidding here. Plus anime, no, it's real.
5%.
I mean, I know that there's the whole. We were actually talking about this earlier. I know there's the whole thing where in the Varamir Sixskins chapter that he says his mentor told him, like, don't ever warg into an animal when it's having sex, and I know
I know from experience.
Why would that be in there? Why would that come up in conversation?
It's weird for George to put that specific taboo in a chapter.
It's been passed down from generation to last night.
I'm still questionable on the idea of what are you doing? I'm still questionable on the idea of Bloodraven actually physically being able to impregnate another, like a wolf, how it could possibly biologically work.
When a man wolf,
But
goes to lady wolf.
everything else about it, everything else. Yeah, I don't know how sex works. Okay. Everything else about this theory is #plausible. So if you can explain to me the biology of how he's actually.
Well, it involves
It's
a werewood paste.
Yeah, he's magic.
Yes.
He's a magic man. he uses his albino magic.
He's
Like,
also a tree, so I mean, like, if he could do that.
Yeah, he lives in a tree.
Yeah, I don't think a tree is going to have a problem getting wood.
And we all hear it, and werewood gets hard over time.
Very solid.
And how do you think the face gets in the weirwood, and why do you think it cries?
Oh, come on.
All right.
Jen, having done this for several years, is like, I didn't think I could get any more.
And Jen, I promise you the Sharpie in our shirts are unrelated to the alcohol.
No, you're good. Yeah, Every year they surprise me with how far they can take this. All right, so where's the microphone at? Let's get some audience participation going.
I have a theory that the Valencourt is actually a pile of bricks falling.
Hashtag plausible.
But in all seriousness, my friend online has a theory that Loras Tyrell is the Valencourt, because if Cersei ends up actually, getting Marjorie executed, she feels like Loras would, avenge her and kill Cersei, and it would kind of fit in with the whole Cersei's own actions are what brings the prophecy.
I like that. What do you guys think?
Better than bricks.
Yeah.
Literally anything is better than bricks.
I like it. He's a younger brother for sure, which is one element of the Valonqar is younger brother, younger sibling. He's supposed to kill Cersei by strangling the life from her with his cold hand upon her neck.
Hands.
So it's
hands. It's
cold
hands.
hands.
It's also like both.
Cold hands.
He
Benjen,
wraps.
younger brother. There we
Yeah.
go.
He wraps his hands plural around her neck.
And so we already saw him lose a melee match against Brienne of Tarth, not because necessarily she was the better technical fighter, but she tackled him to the ground and just beat the crap out of him, which probably gave him a life lesson he needed. He was a knight of summer at the time, as Catelyn described them. And I think in a trial by combat, if he represents the accusers against Cersei for whatever crime she's being tried by, he's going to have learned from that. He's going to get down and dirty and maybe, if it's to the death, strangle the life out of whoever is Cersei's champion. And through that strangulation, end her life.
But it's going to be a trial by 7, so we're going to get all the younger brothers in there. So Sandor's going to be there as well, and all of them, yeah.
All those mini mountains that got the armor, but they look like the
Cersei
rip-off
really
versions.
likes those
The
younger
hills.
brothers, y'all.
Yeah, the hills.
Loras is younger and more beautiful, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
yes.
kind of a queen.
So, yes.
Kind of. What was the thing in the show? The French.
Oh,
It was.
I know it. Go ahead.
All right.
All right,
There's
do-
one over here.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead, Aaron.
Actually more on going on Brian's theory. Well, Martin did write for Beauty and the Beast in the 80s. Just saying. That's
There's a precedent for those keeping track of percentages,
There is.
and it was.
It's if you say a tale as old as time.
It was a tale as old as time. It was also was it Ron Perlman, I believe, was the beast,
Yes.
and yeah.
Go ahead.
So this is not my actual theory. I first heard about it from Port Quentin on Aziza's channel.
Hi.
So Euron's Eldritch Apocalypse.
Yes.
What do you think the viability, not just of the theory, but the viability of the plan?
Well, we should review what the plan is.
Yes,
So
please,
the idea
please.
is that Euron will take Old Town, which isn't a big stretch there, but then he'll get the Horn of Winter from Sam somehow and go to the top of the high tower, blow it at the top of the high tower, and then bringing down the wall. So, given that he has this horn that he wants to also control dragons with, he seems rather horny and horny for destruction. And yeah, so that's the idea. Now, this theory came out before the TV show, before there was a dragon taking down the wall. So, in fact, I recently asked him whether he had a different idea, if the theory was he felt any different about it now that he saw a dragon take down the wall. And you could put those theories together. If he blows a horn and Dragonbinder works and he acquires a dragon, then he could take down the wall with his dragon, similar to what Night King does in the show. So there it is. That's the idea. He's asking if this is plausible, and I think that maybe something in between is more likely. Blowing the horn on top of the high tower seems pretty cool, but I don't know. I think the horn is broken at this point too. But there's some ways it could happen.
I mean,
So,
also, like,
let's hear what you guys think.
would it work from that far? Like,
They say you can see the wall from the high tower. I don't know if it's true, but it's been said. which seems kind of
I feel
silly.
like
Yeah,
so far away.
and I also feel like there's just
But
which map are we talking about? Okay? Are we talking about Game of Thrones Westeros map where you can get from point A to point B that are literally across the world from
And
each
like,
other?
is it
in
while
one
he's,
minute?
is it while he's drinking the shade of the evening? He's like, I can totally see it from
Did
here.
he borrow Peter Baelish's TARDIS? Like,
Right, exactly.
Euron does seem like the kind of guy who come up with ideas like drugged up, like, wait. If I'm on top of the high tower, then I blow the horn, dude, and then I jump. No, yeah.
But that's his MO. I mean, I'm going to say 0% plausible because he's too busy being the dusky woman and banging his brother.
No, there might be some there because wasn't the light on the top of High Tower lit by one of the dragons during the Dance of Dragons? And maybe it just needs to be blown by dragon fire, and then.
Really?
I'm reaching.
Yeah,
that's the point.
I'm
Well,
like,
the horns require a strong blowing.
I'm still like the distance thing is really getting me. Like I think that if we had like the Westeros like from the show maybe, but like the distance thing, like how I get, like, especially with the horn being broken, but even beyond that, like the idea that you could blow the horn from that far away and knock over the wall just seems like, I don't know. I just need more here.
Yeah, I know, it's super unrealistic. Like, you know, like bringing somebody back from the dead, you know? It's just crazy, yeah.
I mean, I've seen a lot of horns take down a lot of walls, but
Right?
usually they're pretty close.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and also they're not usually broken. So.
To give plausibility to a horn knocking down a wall, there is Jericho of biblical origin, and there's a reasonable theory behind it. For those who don't know, this is the story of the Israelite army defeating the city of Jericho.
But how many meters were they from the wall? That's the question.
We don't use meters here, Canadian.
Yeah, they were hundreds of yards, good firm American yards from the walls of Jericho.
Good American yards.
But beyond that, this is a no for me. He's not. Euron's not going to get that far. He's going to be killed by Sam the Slayer, who is, as he's described when he arrives in Old Town, both a whale and a leviathan. We are then given reference after reference to a whale or leviathan being locked in combat with a kraken. We're also told that Sam the Slayer's sigil is a hunter holding both a bow and a dagger. Sam the Slayer has already killed an other with a dagger and has been practicing his bowmanship with Alaris the Sphinx. I don't think he's particularly important or any other character in disguise. But I think
no one named Sam is ever important.
No, and yes, Euron has Valyrian armor. But Sam has plot armor, so Sam's going to shoot the shit out of him, and that's going to be the end of that.
Yep, that's right.
That is the only metal strong.
From on top of the high tower.
From 5,280 American feet away, the high tower.
Yep. We're talking about good Texas feet.
All right,
We have another
Aaron,
one?
I think you've got the microphone.
Yeah, who is?
Oh, someone
over here.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to mention the possibly comical idea of mermen in the
Oh, please do.
Oh, please do. How have we gotten?
Nothing comical.
How have we gotten 28 minutes into this panel without a Merlin theory yet?
my friend next to me said to talk about the merlins a little bit.
Go for it.
Yeah.
About Varys or Patchface or any sort of merlin. What about a new species in Game of Thrones? What do we feel? I hate it personally, but you know.
Oh, we love
each
it.
their own.
Look, I mean, everybody has a problem with new versions of Little Mermaid. But, you know, it's not Varys' fault that it takes 3 Merlings to make a Varys. It's not his fault. I mean,
He
I think
wears a very robust coat.
No. And Andrew, I respect your theory, but you are a sweet young summer child, and you are not old enough to remember the 1980s movie Splash, in which Merlings have human feet until they are splashed with water and their fit appears. Now, I would point out that Varys, as we all know, is the perfumed seneschal. Ned Stark, who is should not be particularly good at recognizing the scent of flowers, recognizes the specific perfumes that Varys uses because they are so thick. and he wears them all the time. I would point us to Gregory Maguire's Wicked, the novel on which the musical was based, and Elphaba, the Wicked Witch in that book, who cannot obviously expose herself to water because she would melt, keeps herself clean by bathing in oils and perfumes.
She does.
And Varys does the same, because for water to touch him would reveal his Merlin origin.
But one of them is also a Targaryen. Like there's two Merlins and one Targaryen. That's why he shaves his head.
Yeah, he's a Targaryen too. She's got it.
Which Targaryen mated with a mermaid?
You know it was Aegon the Unworthy.
Yes! He fucked every creature possible. He went to Bone Town. He went all the way over there to Bone Town.
He found particularly attractively carved benches. That's where the Blackwoods came from.
We warned you.
So it is after 10 o'clock. And this panel's right mature for a reason. All right, microphone. Aaron's got a microphone? Okay.
All right, well, my merman theory was already taken.
So was my Podrick Dane theory. It happens.
So you've heard of Tyrion Lannister, and you've heard of Tyrion Targaryen, but what about Tyrion time-traveling fetus?
Woo! Oh, yeah. No, you gotta expand on that.
Yeah, don't just give us the tip. Give us the whole Tyrion.
I know, my theory was taken. We were talking about it in the car. Aziz helped me out.
I don't remember all the details exactly, but it's basically, the idea is that Dany and Drogo, had their child, Rhaego. Rhaego was created in Dany's womb, and then Miri Maz-Dur did all her shenanigans is the correct technical term. I was waiting for someone to guess it. Yeah. And during those shenanigans, which is also a synonym for time travel magic. Ancient Valyrian word.
So what you're saying is Peter's also a Targaryen because of, he's got
it opens up so many other theories that all of which are correct. So the idea is that they created, that was Tyrion there, and the magic created a portal that sent Tyrion back into Joanna's womb many years ago, and Tyrion was born. And it makes so much sense. Because what else? Nothing else makes sense. You narrow it down. It's process of elimination.
He's still a Targaryen.
I mean, there's a lot of literature on this. If you just search for the D plus D equals T theory, not kidding.
It's a real theory.
It is. And honestly, there's been so much research on it and everything, and the fact that that people have gotten to the point where they can actually convince me that there is such a thing as a time-traveling fetus means that this theory is obviously #plausible.
Very plausible.
4 out of 5 Westerosi scientists agree.
No, we'll go 5 for 5 here. There's a lot of evidence. From his physical description, both of Rhaego, quote unquote, it was Tyrion, and Tyrion, as described when the Dornish contingent went and visited him, of having a scaly appearance and being deformed and disfigured. Obviously, there's a connection there. But beyond that, let's go to Greek mythology.
Why not?
Why not?
That's cool.
So the 7 kingdoms are called this. But the King's Landing itself has 7 gates. And in Greek mythology, so did the city of Thebes, which is where Oedipus is from. Oedipus, as we know, kills his father and marries his mother. In this circumstance, as we know, Tyrion kills his father Tywin, and depending on where we think it will go, may marry Daenerys, who, of course, is his mother.
Of course.
Is it awkward? These are
Targaryen.
It's Game of Thrones.
I'm not doing
not
this
that
on
weird.
the fly. They did this. The Greeks.
That make it any less awkward.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Who's got a microphone? Yes.
All right. So I have a theory. We hear a lot talk about the Valonqar. I already see you bearing your ace in your hand. You know what I'm about to go to. So we hear it. It's like, all right, the obvious choice is Tyrion. that's not going to happen. Jamie, yeah. Stannis could be the Valonqar because he's Robert's younger brother. But my crazy fan theory is that Littlefinger is the Valonqar because there's all these references to him. When Kat always talks about him, says, "Oh, I always thought of him as a younger brother." And he has more reason than anybody. And this is in the book, obviously not the show, of course. But he has more reason than anybody to want to fucking straight up murder Cersei for everything, because by the end of everything, as far as where we're in the books, Tywin's dead. She's pretty much the scion of the Lannister family. He would want to erase, do everything he could to wipe her out. And I have a feeling that there's going to be this whole thing where not only that, but he's also, as far as we know in the books, the only person who's kind of had a direct hand in being responsible for her children's deaths with the plot against Joffrey. Yeah, sorry, I had too much to drink. I was wondering.
So did Peter before he tried to bang Lysa. I mean, Kat.
Okay,
All right,
so analysts.
Yeah, it depends if we're going literal downfall or the physical, because I'd like to think that Cersei could kick his ass.
I'm almost certain.
So she's small. Cersei's small, but she's fierce.
I don't know. He might be into choking. Who knows? It could be a thing.
The biggest problem here for me is that the whole idea of the Valonqar is wrapping their hands around her throat, and his fingers are little.
Next question.
I'm pretty convinced that now the cold hands are actually cold hands because he's Benjen and the younger brother. So.
Yes.
And Dario and Jack and Euron.
I was gonna say, and then is it Euron or is it Euron now, or are we still going with Euro? Great.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Oh, she's not allowed to speak.
I would feel I'm doing this because Chloe's back here.
Get this question.
Get the Danes out of the way.
We need to move on to the second microphone.
Theory is, if you follow anyone literally on Twitteros, is that Ashara Dane is alive and well, living in the net with the rabies.
We went over this. She's devastated over Pod.
Which then makes her children Danes.
Podrick Danes.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem though. Is Podrick, Dane, or are the Reeds her children? And we've kind of already said that the Pod as Prince of Doran Podrick Dane theory is plausible. So I think that must mean that Ashara actually died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Chloe's going to hear this later and hate me for it.
No. And let's add another theory onto it and use Chloe's reasoning for this. So the big thing here is Gianna Reed is a combination of John and Lyanna, so obviously connection. So let's work with that. Eddard Stark and Podrick Payne got together and created Edric Storm. No, you know what? We'll just go Edric Dane, because obviously Eddard and Podrick. So, Edric Dane is secretly Eddard Stark's bastard son, his, I guess, second one. I don't know. I think that's show only. I don't think there's any sort of John son of Lyanna thing. It seems show only to me. So Eddard and Podrick had a torrid affair, and Edric Dane is the result, and he joined the Brotherhood Without Banners. Gonna do great things. What? No, so that's so here we are. That's a good theory. Hashtag plausible.
I'm not even touching that with a 10-foot pole.
If you combine names, it's plausible. Hashtag Chloe.
Okay.
Moving on from the Duck Dynasty of Westeros.
Actually, I'm going to keep us there for a second.
Yes.
It had nothing to do with the Chardonnay, in fact, kind of against this theory.
Thank you,
Do we
sir.
have any proof outside of the three reads that there's such a thing as Crannogman Do they exist? Is it a family of homeless people that live in swamps and trick the stars into thinking they have like loyal bannermen?
Right, yeah, we're very familiar with this in Florida. There's people, who go around. They're out there wrestling alligators, airboat tours. They're like, we got this castle, it's great one to watch. It's a raft and like some shit. Yeah, exactly. And then they like have one lizard lion. They're like,
Oh, Jesus Christ. The Cranig men are Florida men.
And let's think about when Cranach men are mentioned. It's when people need to make an excuse for failure. Like, oh gosh, we the Ironborn are holding Moat Cailin. Oh, we are dying a lot. It's definitely not because we're bad at hunting. You know what's getting us is these bog devils. They're getting us, and they're coming out of I don't know, and they're shooting us with who knows, and we're dying. And have you gotten that?
They were talking about their places, and then they're like, "Oh, here's my cat. Oh, it moved."
Yeah, they're straight up ripping off Hayao Miyazaki. It's Howland's Moving Castle, for Christ's sake.
Yes. Also, as a Canadian, when I read Cranach Man, I was just like, it's Newfoundlanders, and that's our Florida man. So.
Pretty sure they coat their arrows with bath salts, so they could.
And they have lizard lions, and let's be real, that's
which, as we know, lizard lion poop is bath salts.
Yeah.
It's a dragon glass precedent. We got it.
And it's the only way to beat the others.
Yes.
100% proven.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
But also maybe free men.
All right.
I'm 100% behind this.
All right, I got one.
Oh no.
Okay, so Septil Moore is Joanna Lannister. Number one reason, Lemore literally means the dead in French, so we're looking at dead characters. Number two reason, she's not nobody because you already have a line about, oh, you're not the only one who needs to not be recognized here. All right. Number three is a conversation between Tyrion and Oberyn about, oh, there's an extra cabin. I think it was probably so that when our siblings could get married, but actually it's to spring Joanna and bring her away from Tywin. And I think it's probably because, Tyrion is actually a Targaryen, but there you go.
I love this theory, given the Septa Lemore's actions when Tyrion fell into the water and was at risk of catching Grayscale. She did not put herself at risk to help Aegon the Sixth, quote unquote, the person she's supposed to be there as part of the entourage for. She goes in and helps Tyrion because she recognizes him as her son.
Yes. And I'm so glad you brought up Oedipus before, too.
Oh, yeah.
Oedipal is it that he's just like, dang, my mom's hot.
And then he gets that, and then it forms another time-traveling fetus.
I was like 5% behind this theory until the Oedipal thing, and now I'm done. Hashtag plausible.
It's Oedipal arrangements.
Where'd that microphone end up? He's got something for us.
All right.
Oh, I know we have people.
No.
That man is Rob Stark.
Yes, that is Rob Stark.
He's reading it from his phone. This isn't his.
No, I have notes. So, returning to your original theories, because we're here in the interest of science.
I hate him.
The theory so much. Was that dragon poop is dragon glass.
It's not really a theory, but yeah.
Yeah, we already said that was hashtag plausible.
You're smoking, Matt.
George was aware of this theory and disproved it in Fire and Blood when he explicitly mentioned in the narrative dragon dung and during the fight between the Strongs and the Valerians.
Well, not unlike werewood slowly turning to stone. It's the same with dragon poop. It doesn't become dragon glass right away. I mean, that's ridiculous. It would cut them up on their poor dragon intestines would be sliced apart.
Yeah, you really didn't think this through, Matt.
Come on, it depends on what their diet is. If they're feeding on generic sheep or they're feeding on prime Targaryen flesh.
We're really
disappointed
disappointed in you.
You're gonna get some quality dragon glass out of that, Matt.
Right, like anyone who has cats or rabbits
Jesus,
knows
Matt.
this stuff takes time to solidify.
Think of the dinosaurs.
You piece of
And now we
dragon
dry them.
It's literally the petrified wood version of poop.
Yeah. Any good theory has to be tested to be proven true. So
it's the stool sample of Westeros.
Yeah.
So, Okay,
Oh,
Andrew
it's
is wrong.
continuing.
So his theory
He's
was
going to a second question. Take the mic.
the Bolton is the Night King. This is disconfirmed by the timeline because the Boltons are
Disconfirmed is not a word.
The Boltons are confirmed in the Age of Heroes. The Age of Heroes is ended by the first long night. The 13th Lord Commander comes after the Age of Heroes.
Yeah. That's fine, but their love baby comes back and murders all the other Boltons just like Ramsey.
You may not
Shove
have been,
it, Matt.
Yeah, you may not have been here for the time traveling part of today's panel because you're inconsiderate.
Well, we clearly have a time-traveling Bolton fetus situation.
Yes!
Checkmate.
I could go on.
Please do.
Warren doesn't want me to.
I feel like, do we have other? Please let me.
Any other theories over here?
Officially my new favorite. Let me have a quick these real quick. Real quick, so on your theory, we know that George likes to have a lot of parallels, specifically the fire and ice parallels. There's some chance that maybe the spears used to kill dragons come from others?
The spears used to kill dragons. Oh,
like the Olympic throwing spear.
That one, yeah, that one definitely. Yeah.
Well, and then it wouldn't just be spears; it would also be those arrows and Euron's.
Yeah, the ballista arrows.
Ballistas. Yeah.
The best naval weapon nobody's ever heard of. Yeah.
Well, as we saw with them pulling the dragon out of the water with their chains that they got from Hard Home Depot, which is a store very well stocked in ice. An ice arsenal, basically. So, spears, chains. They got it all.
I'll go ahead and throw in there that there is some precedent for mankind co-opting the weapons of the others. As we know, the Stark's Valyrian steel blade is known as ice, and we're told that it's not named after the original ice. The original ice was another sword that the Starks had obtained. As we know, the Starks originally fought the others, and the others used blades constructed of what appears to be ice. So if you capture a sword made of ice, what do you name it?
The Starks are not that creative.
They're a simple folk, but they're honorable.
I do have a question for Aziz's theory. Did the dragon glass, was that there during the First War? Because dragons went around in...
Yeah, they were. They were flying around. They flew over. They took a big dump and then flew all the way back to Essos. It's like, one of those where, you're in a tight room, you got 6 other roommates, you don't want to hear them, so you go downstairs,
Well, and we're working under the theory that Westeros and Essos had no trade between them. As we know, the Five Forts, which essentially functions as the wall for Essos to keep out the Lion of Night and his undead minions. Allegedly, they were fought off by dragon dung. Yeah, it's in the book. They were. Check it out. And so that was obviously exported to Westeros and used to fight off the Long Night. And when I say the Long Night, I mean the historic one, not the night that was actually done in 3 hours on the show.
Lots of hands.
I know we had hands.
I just want to say, your theory about the Boltons is close, except for it's the Starks, and that's why they had.
They're the vampires?
No, not vampires. They're others. Or at least inbred with others. I mean, if you read Martin's other work, he does a lot of crossbreeding between different semi-humanoids. Especially what is it?
And the giveaway was that he called it Martin's other works. It was about the others.
In the House of the Worm.
I follow you. No, you got this.
But there's a great quote that I think really gives evidence to this. It's from the guy guarding Davos in the prison in Wolf's Den.
The sisters.
No. When he's in White Harbor.
White Harbor.
So it goes, when old King Edric had grown too feeble to defend the realm, the Wolf's Den was captured by slavers from the Stepstones. Then a long, cruel winter fell. The White Knight, the White Knight froze hard, and even the firsts were icing up. The winds came howling out of the north and drove the slavers inside to huddle around their fires. And whilst they warmed themselves, the new king came down on them. Brandon Stark, this was Edric Snowbeard's great-grandson, him who the men called Ice Eyes.
That is an excellent refutation, and I see a lot of evidence for it. Matt, you should take a note. That's how you present a counter to a theory, and I am on board with you, sir, and I think that was done
That's
very
how
well.
you make a theory? Hashtag plausible.
Okay, we got
No, it
another
is,
one
yeah.
back.
Sorry, can you talk a little louder, honey?
Into the mic, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're very quiet.
I wouldn't say an alternate ending. Do you think, assuming that, besides the stabby,
Oh, we know.
that if Masande had lived and they had sailed to her home island, that would have gotten rid of all of Daenerys' forces, the butterflies and the poisons would have killed everybody. So she was actually setting them up along the way.
That's true.
Yeah, it was like her ultimate shadow baby.
Trying to
Gets them
kill
all right.
everybody. That's some dark shit.
Yeah. It's like, hey, Grey Worm, go home for a little bit. Just think on this John thing, and come back to us in 7 years. You'll be dead.
I mean, I thought that was a great thing that the Unsullied going to Nath because they don't have any warriors, but no, they're all dead now.
Well, and the Unsullied don't really have a way to carry on a legacy, because.
And now they're dead.
And so if those boats they're leaving in leave on some sort of schedule where every 2 weeks a new group arrives ready to defend the island, they'll be able to pick up the spears of the ones that just died from the butterfly fever and take over. So you're probably, if you have 8,000 Unsullied and you're sending out 50, you're going to get a couple good years of protecting Noth out of that.
Dragon poop is also
it's a viable defense. It's great.
Yeah, it's antiviral. So if they have their weapons, they might,
And actually, going back real quick to the Stark one, because I just thought of this. Old Man does say to Bran when she's talking about the original Night's King, the
13th Lord Commander.
Yeah,
It's probably a Stark.
It could have been. Who knows? For all you're saying, it could have. For all we know, it could have been a Stark. So there's a suggestion there that would lend itself more to being a Stark
Jon
than
Snow is going to be the new Night's
than a
King.
Bolton. Yeah, it's Jon. He's going to be a Night's King.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
But Bran is the
mine.
Yeah, it's Bran.
It's
Bran's the Night.
It's also Bran, time travel.
And Blood Raven at the same time.
And he's on weirdwoodpornhub.net, so he's there. He's there.
This is a question for Patchface, apparently.
All right, I have a point and then a question for Brian. My point to make is this: that the long night that was supposed to happen in the show, it seems so short. It's almost like maybe some great sacrifice stopped it. So maybe a little girl was burned at the stake to stop the winter for the. Just saying. Okay, all right.
It's under the sea. That's how you think.
I'm not hearing a lot of Stannerman love in this room.
You don't have to love it for it to be true.
So who else died? Oh, sorry.
Brian, you have a theory about the expectations of the others at the wall, like north of the wall, like the very first scene when we see them. Like, I want to hear that again. I heard you say it one time.
Yeah.
I want to pay more attention with context.
That's your first mistake.
Yeah. No. So I think it's interesting that the others present themselves in a force. They're basically like an advanced force, an advanced squad. It's 6 or 7 others themselves, not whites, but others who are waiting for Waymar Royce. And they surround him, and one advances to duel him and looks at his sword with hesitation. And once they start fighting, the others start laughing, and it's this otherworldly laugh.
Cracking ice.
Yeah, like the cracking of ice on a pond, it's described as. And because they realize that his sword is not Valyrian steel, and this is going to be a lot easier than they thought. Which to me implies that this was an ambush intended to kill a Stark. We know the others were working with Craster, who's basically donating his sons to give them new others. And we know that Benjen Stark had stopped with his men at Craster's Keep before going north, and Waymar Royce's men went out. And Craster says that, I'm going to mix this up, I think. Craster either denies that Benjen stopped there or denies that Waymar stopped there, but then seems to have knowledge that they went north and were on a ranging. So he lies to Jorah Mormont about one of those two because he passed on information to the others about Benjamin Stark going north and didn't want Jorah Mormont to know. He gave this information to the others so the others could set up an ambush to kill a Stark and get ice, one of the only weapons that could hurt them. Waymar Royce is one of the only characters described in the book to have gray eyes, and one of the there's a decent number of characters, not a lot, who are described as having a long face. And other than Waymar Royce, the only characters that have both of those traits together are Starks. There is cross-pollination between the Starks and the Royces, both recently and in the past. So Waymar Royce is going to have Stark lineage. He's going to have these Stark features. And when the others see him, there's no reason for them to think he's not a Stark, the part of the forces that stopped them the first time. So all of this was an ambush to take out a Stark that they'd been told was coming north, may have a Valyrian weapon, and was basically the head of the Rangers of the forces that are going to stand against them. And when they fought Waymar and the sword didn't work, they thought, oh, well, we got this guy. But it was a lot more calculated than it looked like in the show.
So do you think that maybe they expected maybe some vision that they had for 1,000 years? They just were a few months off with that being Jon Snow coming north.
Oh, yeah.
They thought that was Jon Snow.
For all the prophecies that we as mankind have about the others and them coming back and who's going to stand against them, Azor Ahai, the prince that was promised, all of this, why do we think the others don't also have prophecies?
Make it Looney.
Sorry, this is Loony Theories.
Hashtag 0%.
But also, the important thing is the others coordinated this through their leader, the Night King, who, as we know, is the son of Darth Maul and Elsa from Frozen.
None of this matters because Benjen is Dario and Dario is Syrio and Syrio is Euron.
And all of their fetus has traveled in time, and Marty McFly.
Not the
is still
Bolton
hanging out with
one.
them.
We figured that out. It was just the Lannister/Targaryen one.
Yes.
That's gray eyes. They're also in Ruby.
But he was also Greek.
You know, all these character justifications you make, you haven't said the real true one, that Bran is the Night King.
Oh, we briefly mentioned it.
Night King.
That's not a theory.
We've all accepted it now, so.
Yeah, come on.
Oh, we got it.
All right, let's do it.
All right, sorry, me again. When I asked about the Eldritch Apocalypse, Euron's Eldritch Apocalypse, I guess maybe I was on the term there. What I was asking about was particularly regarding the Winds of Winter chapter, that is sending the Ironborn there. He doesn't in fact, expects them all to die in some sort of, shade of evening fueled apotheosis scheme. Is that anything?
Well, the idea that he wants to, from his vision, he wants to say, basically make himself some sort of god, sort of by destroying worship of the other gods, or bringing in the Eldritch Apocalypse is partly fueled by allowing the others into the kingdom to destroy, and of course, it's maybe a parallel to what we see in the TV show with the discussion of destroying all human knowledge. If Euron destroys the Citadel, it's kind of a similar concept of human knowledge being destroyed. So, I'm not exactly sure what the question is specifically still, maybe.
I mean, look, you've got him cutting out people's tongues. He's, sending people in to blow the horn. He's had multiple people sacrificed. So, I mean, blood magic gets him off. So I'm not surprised he would send people to their death, knowing that would bring out some sort of change. That's Euron's MO.
So in the end, the conclusion here is that Euron is actually the Night King.
Yeah, of course, naturally.
That's what I'm sorry. That's what I'm getting. He wants to kill knowledge in the stories. So right, if we put show and books together, that's what we get.
Well,
and he's also Bran.
And we we absolutely want to put the show and books together. And so he's trying to go to Old Town to destroy mankind's accumulated knowledge. He's doing this by drawing out the Reach's fleets to the Shield Islands, which he's taken, so he can go up the Sunset Sea, what's the
Sunset Sea? It's on the west side.
Red Wine Straits.
The
Red Wine Straits.
Yeah, the Red Wine Straits. He's going up the Red Wine Straits to reach Old Town. Basically, once all their ships have come out and fought the Ironborn and suffered both sides tremendous casualties in this Eldritch Abomination nightmare Cthulhu stuff, really. It's going to be great on TV. Wait for season 9.
All 5 episodes.
After that, when Old Town and the Reach's naval forces are at their lowest, he's going to drive up these straits, these narrow straits, and just pierce Old Town from behind. It's going to be like a finger in the bum, and they're not going to be ready for it.
Oh my God!
It makes sense because they always downplay how important Old Town is. Everyone's like concerned about the high tower.
Yeah, you don't hear a thing about Newtown.
The Tyrells are like the big house of the Reach and whatnot, and it's like no, it's kind of high tower, and it's so downplayed, but no, it's a high tower.
So every house has a maester, and we see that when Sam's in the Citadel that they might have information that could help others, but they don't share, and we can see what kind of things Qyburn can do with the information he has when he kind of goes rogue. So what happens if it's throughout Westeros that essentially the maesters are using people as their own entertainment to write these stories throughout history, that they're the actual villains in the history of Westeros?
Yeah, I mean, them being the stonemasons is pretty much legit. I mean, that's so essentially it's 0% plausible. I mean, it definitely is not.
Yeah, if you stop in Barrowtown, the town bulletin board is basically a bunch of treatises about how the maesters are the worst people on Westeros, and that they basically scheme together with their self-and ambitions to ruin everything.
Who rigs every Oscar night? Who robs Kate Bishop?
We do.
The Maesters definitely have suppressed the knowledge about the truth about dragon poop.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, we got time for one more theory.
Can I put mine in?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so follow me on this one.
Into the microphone.
The Night King actually isn't like on a murder spree. He doesn't want any knowledge. He doesn't want to kill everybody. He's just like a really jaded artist that wants to make bloody pictures in the ground out of people's body parts. And he really needs a piece of brand to get his masterpiece done. And that's all he really wants.
Yeah. Edward the artist, as Mance Raider said.
Yeah. I just really want to see the scene when they're in the, I forgot the name of the kids when they leave and they decide not to send the people, and then they go to the castle and the show and all the body parts of Thornbridge. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I just want a scene of the Night King being like, okay, bring another leg in, put it on this side right here, facing that way, bend the knee. Okay, now nail it in. I just really want that.
Yeah, he can't wait to roll that one out with Bran.
And they actually had, this was a deleted scene for that episode with I can't remember the young Lord Umber's name, the last of his house.
Small John.
Small John, yeah, we'll call him Small John. I prefer Little John.
Smallest John.
So Little John, actually, he didn't know that
unnecessary John.
Well, but he asked Sansa for all his help getting his people out because he knew the others were going to target him first. Edward the artist, the others wanted to take Last Hearth so they could do their version of the Last Supper. They didn't get it right, but it was close.
Well, now I'm convinced that Jon Snow is going to be the next Night King because he's got that brooding artist disposition.
Oh, hashtag plausible.
Very plausible.
I can say this though, in terms of apocalyptic stuff, are artists ever satisfied? Or they ever be like, all right, this is good enough, I'm going to stop?
They might be into their ants.
No. And following up on the John point, because I think it is important to realize John had a collaborator, and the others tried to take him out so the others' art would have a monopoly on the market. As we know, John had a dire wolf who fought with him and lost an ear battling the others, and that was Vincent Van Gogh.
This was all just a giant thing between Bloodraven and the Night King battling it out as artists.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
All right.
Thank you all for coming.
On that note, we shall end this panel. Thank you so much for coming. Please rate us in the app.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for listening to Tara Lynn's A Geek Saga podcast. If you like what you heard, please check out my website, ageeksaga.com, or consider supporting me on Patreon at patreon.com/ageeksaga.